Faith communities can play a key role in ending violence and abuse in families. If someone in your church confides in you about abuse, your response can make the difference. And here today to talk more on the subject is Pastor Jonas Oriental to help us learn the difference between helping and harming. To understand why domestic and family violence is a problem in our churches, we must be willing to have a conversation about violence, power, gender roles, and marriage within the wider faith community. This conversation explores how the Bible speaks about key areas that are often used against women, such as violence, power, forgiveness, repentance, and submission. So please tune in and welcome Pastor Jonas with us today. Part 2. Unfortunately, it is a message because divorce in the church is seen as a negative. Divorce, anything where there is a man and women, they're talking about separation or divorce. No one wants to see a family break up, but there is this taboo, this darkness around the word divorce in the church, where it's better if you stay married and in that situation than to leave the situation and be divorced, a divorced woman. And I myself have seen in church where if you're a divorced woman, there are certain things you're not allowed to take part of in the church, or you're not allowed to speak in the church. So some women see that as a bad mark against them. So I want to go back to what you said. You said that the pastors, the spiritual leaders have to be willing to take on these trainings. International Women of Hope has made it a point every year in October to invite the church, to invite the spiritual leaders to the men's part. There's a part in our where we take a conversation. It's just men there, and we want to open that. And we've invited many times, and always the numbers are very low in attendance. What's keeping pastors from being willing to learn about the subject, or willing to open their minds to see what, in your opinion, what's keeping them from taking that step and saying, you know what, let's learn about this and see how we can change the narrative, how we can prevent these things from happening, how we can help the oppressed instead of telling them or telling them that it's a stigma to want to leave a situation where you're being hurt and abused. So what's preventing these pastors from coming to these sessions that we offer?
I cannot speak for everybody.
Right.
I cannot speak for, I don't know who you encountered.
Right.
Or other pastors, I don't know. It's not because everybody, because there's a big difference between a theologian and a pastor.
Right.
I cannot speak for everybody.
Right.
Now, you can go to school, learn theology, and you earn a degree, and you open a church. But what Women of Hope is doing, that's what we're supposed to do as a church.
Right.
Open ways where we can educate people on those things. Domestic violence forums take place. I was reading an article that they said for every 10 or 8 families, there are at least 5 of them domestic violence that happen every 15 seconds. So who are the church? Your family, my family, and somebody else's family. So now we got those little families come together in the church. We form a big family. So imagine those 8 families is in my church, and I have 5 of them that are suffering from domestic violence. Imagine what kind of church do you have? So if I don't take it upon myself as a pastor, as a leader, to provide the healing process for all the prevention, because once my job as a pastor, or any pastors or any leaders in the community, is to make sure you properly guide your flocks, properly teach them, properly groom them, So they will do their part as far as to obey, to follow. Because a leader, that's what you do, you lead and somebody else follow. So if you don't do your part properly in the community, we could consider ourselves a big failure.
Right, right. And so I know that you can't answer for other, but what makes you willing as a pastor to say, you know what, let me join International Women of Hope in their quest on preventing this disease that's killing us slowly in this community? That's affecting our community, even though it might not be going on in your family per se, but it's affecting the community some way somehow. Because who are your children coming in contact with? Who are your children learning how to love or being friends with? And it affects us some way somehow. So why are you willing, as a man, first of all, as a spiritual leader, to say, you know what, I'm standing for women, I'm standing against all forms of violence, I'm taking the stance to say, you know what, this thing about boys will be boys will not happen. This is a norm, and just standing with us in the organization. What makes you a willing party to that?
If I go back to answer your question, because in a nutshell, if I go back in the beginning to Genesis as well, what's the purpose, the main purpose God created woman? Because men, there was everything God created in first Genesis was good. It created the species, it was good. Created the earth, the universe was good. Created Adam, it was good. When God created Adam, it was very good. Until man says he was yearning for a companion. So God said, no, this is not good. It's not good for men to be alone. So if it's not good for men to be alone, so God, when God created man, it was perfect. So the union between two makes things perfect. God was, okay, I was about to make a mistake. Let me correct myself. Let me bring a woman along. Now, you think God made a mistake by bringing a woman along? Or bringing your drums so you can beat whenever you feel like to? Or stepping stones, you can step on it whenever you feel like to. That's the reason why God says, she's a helper. You know what that means? If I ask you to come help me, you're going to ask, I said, come help me. What's the first question bring across your mind?
How may I help you? With
what?
With what? Yeah.
With what? So, if you're a helper, whatever you're going to help me with, it's whatever I am doing.
Right.
So if I'm doing the loving, you're going to help me loving.
Yes.
If I'm doing the kissing, you're going to help me kissing.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the beating, you're going to help me to beat. If I'm doing the hating, you're going to help me to hate. So a man's job is to equip himself first to know who he is. That's the problem. We don't know who we are. Most of us. We look for a companion, we yearn for a companion without being equipped ourselves first. So the community is suffering because we don't want to educate the people, or some of us we're ignorant, or we are ashamed of telling what we're going through. Men's pride sometimes gets us in a very lot of problems, a lot of troubles. So to say, okay, I need help in that aspect. I need help how to love my wife. I need help how to provide for my wife. I need help. So we stop asking for help, and help stop coming to us. So I take it upon myself as a leader, as a spiritual leader, so when I open the Bible, my job was supposed to love the woman. My job was supposed to love my wife. That's my job. Now, do you beat yourself? God said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if I love myself first, I don't pinch myself, I don't beat myself, I don't slap myself, I don't know any of this stuff. As a matter of fact, I take good care of myself. I bathe myself, spray a little cologne on myself, dress up quick. I make sure I present myself properly to whoever's going to see me. So that's my job to my wife.
Okay. All right. So your willingness is because you see women as helpmates. Your willingness to stand with us. That basically that the journey doesn't happen with you by yourself on there.
Let me elaborate a little bit on that, just not to take too much time. If it was good that good, if it was fine, women wouldn't be here. That's because something was missing. So she's not just a help because she's bored, she doesn't have anything. As a matter of fact, you could bore a woman to death if a man doesn't have a purpose. Because she'll have nothing to help you with. So there is no reason for her to be by your side if you don't have anything going for yourself. A woman is always ready. That's what women are always more ready than men. Always ready to, because the woman always on the go. Because once the woman comes along and say, okay, what I'm here for, what you need, that's why women are always asking questions.
What's your purpose?
What's the purpose? Where are you going? If you dating somebody, the first question you need to ask them, where are you taking me?
Right.
So if the man that cannot answer that question, then you're not ready to leave, you're not ready to be my husband, or you're not even meant to be my husband. So in this community, in this process of dating, process of having a woman, process of having a wife, or even the abuse, the first, I was talking to, I forgot her name, I hope she forgives me for this, earlier.
Sandy.
Hurting people hurts people. Most of the time we come from dysfunctional household. We didn't even know how to be a man. We transition from a boy to a manhood, don't even know what that is.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. The church supposed to groom young men for this. I have 4 boys. My job is, I have 4 husbands in my hands.
To groom.
I have 4 leaders in my hands. My job as a husband, as a pastor, is to let them know who they are. And the person that comes along as a wife, guess what? If you have a daughter, so this is your next husband is in my household. So you think I'm training that young man to beat your daughter,
right? To
mistreating your daughter,
right?
That is the most biggest failure that we do as leaders, as churches, as community. If we don't get involved in things like this, who's gonna change it?